Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to this meeting of Committee of the Whole. We'll start off with roll call. I'm going to call out the number of your district, and if you just respond with your name, please. District 1.
Trout.
District 2.
Good morning, McDonald.
District 3.
Wayne Fowler.
District 4.
We can't hear.
McNeil.
District 5. That's Councillor Hemming, who's unwell today. District 6.
McMorrison.
District 7 is myself, Timothy Habinski. District 8. District 8.
I can't hear a thing.
Okay. District 9.
Wendy Sheridan.
District 10.
Martha.
And District 11.
Diane LeBlanc.
Thank you. So I think both the deputy warden and Councillor Gunn are having difficulty hearing anything. Is that?
Martha froze there for a minute.
Martha, can you hear us, Martha?
She's gone.
She's gone.
She's gone. Can you hear us, Councillor Gunn?
No.
Okay.
Can't hear.
Gotcha. Okay. Is Dave online? Could he call over to Councillor Gunn and see if he can talk him through whatever's going on?
He's not online, no.
He's not online. Understood. Okay.
He's in the office here. I'll just go let him know.
Thank you very much, Janice. Appreciate that. So Councillor Gunn can't hear me tell him this, but all right.
So sometimes Zoom updates over the weekend and you need to, Councillor Gunn initially couldn't get on, so he had to shut down Zoom and come back in so he could log in, but obviously there's still issues there.
Right.
I'm here.
We can hear you.
There. Okay.
Oh, here's the deputy warden coming back.
So should he go off Zoom and try to come back on again?
I think Janice has gone to get David from IT to call Michael and see if he can't walk him through what needs to be done.
Deputy warden, can you hear us now?
What's Michael say? I am what?
Can't hear.
Oh. Uh-oh.
Deputy warden, can you hear it? Deputy warden, can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Deputy Warden. Can you hear us?
I can't hear you.
Fair enough.
Nothing.
Nothing.
So it's
Let's see. I wonder if Councillor Gunn has Zoom on his telephone.
You want me to call Councillor Gunn?
Yeah, I'll give him a quick ring. Just a second, folks.
Okay.
Somebody want to call the deputy warden as well because she's having the same issue?
Maybe putting your headset in to try that by the looks of things.
I think Michael tried that and it didn't work.
Got it. Got it.
Good?
Headphones after I plugged them in and programmed the computer.
Okay, Michael's good. Perfect.
Okay, so Councillor Gunn, you're back online with us now?
I'm here.
Good. Deputy Warden, can you hear us yet?
Calling her now.
Take that as a no.
Nope, not answering. Try the other line.
Hello?
Martha, try unplugging your phones and putting them back in, and see if your computer prompts you to select earphone.
It doesn't.
Oh, okay.
John, maybe ask her if it just works with the speakers of her
I
other
can
computer.
log out and try to come in again and see if it will.
Try logging out and coming in again, yes.
All right.
Oh, technology.
Kind of reminds you of being back in school, doesn't it, Diane?
Waiting for something. Waiting for something.
My daughters finished off their last classes this week. School's officially out now. And it was a relief for me to realize that difficulties with Zoom are not restricted to the elderly, because their class can't get on properly either. Everyone fumbles with it.
Correct. On a good day, it's good. On a bad day, forget it.
It's a poor way to hold the meeting.
All right, can you hear us, Martha?
Michael, can you hear us?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
We can hear
Yes.
you, yes. Can you hear
can
us?
hear me?
Yes.
I can't hear you.
Plug in your ear. Oh.
Any luck, Martha?
Yep.
Oh, you heard that? Oh, different. You were saying yes to something else, I guess.
Nope. Nope. I can try, just, okay, I'll try.
Go to it.
This reminds me of my father back in the day of party lines, telephones. You go to call somebody in Middleton or Nicktaw, and you would get exasperated because you couldn't get the line. Hang up the phone. His words were always, "I could walk there faster than I can get on the phone." Technology is wonderful.
We had a party line when I was a kid. I remember the distinct sound of a neighbor picking up the receiver and not hanging it back up as they listened in on your phone call.
Yeah.
When we moved to Bridgetown, we had a party line, and Dad was always on call because he was a supervisor. But got hold of a friend of his in Middleton from MT&T, and we got a private line.
Yes, that was.
I always heard, "Stay off the phone. They might call me from work. You're on there too long."
Yeah.
So all you kids had a time limit of what, 1 minute on the phone?
You were lucky.
Yeah, I wondered, yeah.
I can remember when we were first married in '77, we had a little, well, it wasn't a bungalow. It was very, if you put water on it, it might have grown into a bungalow. But one of the big things we tried to get was a private line. I argued that where I was a store manager and Sherry was a teacher, we definitely had to have that because of, conversations that needed to be private and so on. They gave us one, but we had to do some talking.
Hi there, Martha. Can you hear us now? If Martha's unable to get sound through this, perhaps she could use the call-in line. I think we have some Canadian numbers now for the call-in line to call into the Zoom call and do it by phone instead.
Could she be on the phone with Mr. Hopkins?
I think she was.
Excuse me.
Hello?
Hey, Martha.
I can hear you,
Oh,
Martha.
Martha. Hello.
She's on the phone.
Oh, we can hear her anyway.
Okay. Okay. So do you have the number I can call in?
Excuse me.
Yep. Yep. 2071. Yep. 6. Yeah. June. Yep. Eight, 7, 1, 7, 6, 4. I'll do that. Bye.
Okay, so then the deputy warden's going to join us for audio through her phone and keep her computer on but muted. So she'll be able to see through her computer but hear through her phone. Okay, can you hear us now, Martha?
I can hear you and I'm on my phone.
Excellent, perfect, all right. Thanks so much. Okay, in that case, let's continue for the approval of the agenda. I'm actually going to ask if council would mind if we moved our in-camera session to the end of our meeting to just before adjournment. Is that all right with folks?
Sure.
Yes.
Could I ask for a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Moved by Councillor LeBlanc and seconded by
McDonald.
Councillor McDonald. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you. Next, we have our minutes from our meeting from May 12th. We have a motion to approve. Moved by Councillor Fowler, seconded by,
Right here.
thank you, seconded by Councillor Gunn. Any errors or omissions that you noted in the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Okay, thank you. So we're going to go on to new business. First matter on the new business is Internet Equitable Service, and I'll turn things over to Councillor Gunn.
Thank you. Thank you very much. First on the dibs. I always like that. And I hope everybody can hear me. I'd like to begin by commending Annapolis County Council and staff on how we have engaged with the public to generate ideas to better our county. I have seen a lot of information exchanged. Many problem areas are quickly addressed on behalf of our citizens. And both proactive and responsive actions are undertaken to meet the needs of the citizens. This is good. I applaud both staff and council for doing exactly what we are mandated to do, and that is to provide services in a cost-effective way to our citizens. On a parallel thought, I'd like to bring up the concept of equity. While it has many meanings, the most common interpretations relate to being fair or just, rather than merely equal. But imagine going to a movie theater and purchasing a ticket, only to find that most people sat, but you were expected to stand, or wait in the lobby, or be blindfolded, or some other lesser service. Not only did you not get what you paid for, but you were expected to pay regardless for the quality of your experience. It is the province that has determined what services we are to provide, and they do not step in unless we can't meet citizens' needs regarding issues around recreation, water or sewer, waste, public transport permits, etc. Citizens, though, are married to the municipality in which they live. True. But all citizens of the municipality of the County of Annapolis are our clients, and they expect equitable service delivery for the taxes they pay. Asking them to continue paying, but to expect less is neither fair, nor just. As you know, I represent District 8, the largest district in the county. There are a number of topics you have heard me bring up concerning service provision for the district. Getting water supply for downtown Bear River, sidewalk building, snow clearing for Bear River, and road maintenance in Clementsville or Milford. Providing a bus service to various parts of the district. But for me, no issue has resulted in more public response than internet provision. I need you to know that information about the internet needs of our county are coming to me on 3 fronts. What we discuss here in council, what I hear about from our constituents, and from my wife. You may know that she's a teacher in Annapolis Royal. And while she teaches over 200 students from the western end of the county, between 24 and 40% of her students did not have adequate internet, or any at all in some cases, to be able to take part in online schooling during the COVID-19 pandemic. On average, roughly 1/3 of her students could not take part with their classmates and were restricted to the 5 government mailouts that came with the flyers. Let's apply the same ratio to the adults who have been expected to work from home. We can anticipate many challenges in keeping a business afloat without internet service. What results is a county of have and have nots. I have asked 3 times in the past month for any specifics about the internet bill. I have yet to receive any information. I continue to state, I continue to
Councillor
state.
Gunn, point of privilege. That's simply a misstatement. Councillor McDonald quite clearly provided you with details of the map, and in fact offered to show you how to utilize the map at our last meeting. Thank you.
All right. One moment. But, okay. I continue to state that I'm not confident that I know what the plan is. I know what it was, and what I don't know is if anything has changed over the years. But I have been contacted by a number of residents who have taken the time to thoroughly review the RFP, and they have logged and mapped every address that'll be connected by the fiber optic build currently underway in our county. What they have discovered is that 27% of our addresses in our county will not benefit from the build. You can see that map in your package. And I want to thank Jim Todd and Mike Donnelly for the meticulous and dedicated work they did in compiling the information. After looking at District 8 on this map helped me understand that there certainly is an issue of service equity that needs to be addressed. Yet, we have been vocal in the press, stating that we're going to see our community connected and that we're going to have a competitive edge in terms of business increase, and that we're going to see a dramatic impact on the quality of life for our residents. It is the residents that have continually brought this issue of disparity to my attention and to the attention of the warden. And although very few of these letters have made it to the agenda package, you can read Wayne Boucher's letter that points out that some of the remote seasonal cottages on one side of the lake are getting service, while a year-round residents on the other side of the lake, just off Highway 8, are not. That means that we're providing fiber optic to people who will be there for a few months of the year. and not to people who would pay for service year-round. Again, the division of have and have-nots. Our response to residents has been, hold tight. We have to start somewhere. And so we're bringing a spine down the valley floor and branching off. Remember, most of those residents already have high-speed options. So, the spine. Will we actually gather new clients, or are their needs already being met through other providers with whom we have to compete? Can we guarantee we will have their business when they have many options? And how many of the clients that will be served by fiber optic are actually new to high speed? 20, 30%? We say that we'll provide fantastic service to some, unimaginable. And sometime in the future, we'll provide lesser service to others. These others are the ones that have few or no options. And we could nearly guarantee getting their business if only we addressed their needs. Currently, our plan leaves out between 1/4 and 1/3 of our population. At this time, we have no choice. Or at this time, we have a choice. We can choose to do what's right for the entire county, or we can fail to include a large chunk of the population. Our revenue largely comes from our property taxes. Our properties taxes increase when the access to services increase. The bulk of the homes in the spine of our build are already serviced with high-speed internet and will not see a significant rise in property value. But property value would rise significantly in places like Highway 8, Highway 10, Perrott, West Dalhousie. If people are able to work, educate, or operate their businesses from home with fiber optic internet. This is the market we're leaving untapped. And these are the people whose needs are not being addressed. We're asking them, in effect, to wait outside of the movie theater while everyone else enjoys the show. But we're still expecting them to pay for the ticket. I would hope the council feels, as I do, that we are not here for all the citizens we represent. That if we are not here for all the citizens we represent, then what on earth are we here for? In for a penny, in for a pound. When did 73% become the acceptable number of people to serve? Let's sharpen our pencils and do what's best for all of our residents. It really bothers me that we so easily put up with leaving 27% out. We can do better than this, And so, are you ready? I would move that the County of Annapolis form a committee made from staff, council members, and citizens to oversee and direct the planning and implementation of equitable, rural, high-speed internet for all of the County of Annapolis. I'm done. Thank you.
Is there a seconder for the motion?
I'll second that.
I need to have the motion again, please.
Councillor Gunn, could you read your motion again?
Slowly, so I can capture it.
I think that's feedback through some system. Okay, try again, Councillor Gunn.
I would move that County of Annapolis form a committee made from staff, council members, and citizens to oversee and direct the planning and implementation of equitable rural high-speed internet for all of the county of Annapolis.
Did you get all that, Carolyn?
Yes, and I need the seconder again, please.
Seconder was the deputy warden.
Thank you.
Discussion on the motion.
I have a discussion.
Thank you, deputy warden.
And I have residents that feel the same way. I mean, Springfield is out there, they're having the same issues with their kids, being in school, being in college. I've had one resident, I've had several emails, he's very upset. He attended our public meeting, and you know, I've worked hard out there to join them to our county and make them feel that they're part of our county. And there's some that kind of feel like they're still left behind.
Thank you, deputy warden. Yes, sir.
And I think that they have a right to have the internet just as well as anybody else. They're residents of Annapolis County.
Thank you. Councillor Morrison? You need to unmute, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. I, first of all, would like to thank Councillor Gunn for his presentation. Obviously, it is heartfelt and stems from communications he has had with residents and with his own beliefs. I certainly do not take quarrel with the statement that everyone should have adequate internet. Not in the least. I would like to ask two questions, one of which will probably require an extensive reply. And I would like to pose those to Councillor Gunn, if I may. The first is the shortest. Councillor Gunn, how many council members would you see on your committee?
Yes, can you hear me? Oh, yes, I would suggest a couple of councilor members, two council members. And I would suggest.
Thank you. Thank you. And I wonder also if I might ask Councillor Gunn how this committee would function, what its aim would be, what its scope of work would be, and would it be the intent of the committee to insist that everyone in the county have high-speed internet next month or in August? Or how would timetables be set? I'd like to know much more about the work of the committee, please.
Thank you. Good question, Alec. I suspect it would be a couple of council on it. We'll finish that out. Yes, and a couple from administration as well, and a couple of citizens. Our aim would be to work towards fair and equitable access to internet throughout the county. This doesn't mean that everybody gets it all in the same moment. We know that, Alec. But there is no plan for the future that we see now. We hear is, you know, when funds become available. So I want to make sure that it's in the plan and that we're going to get it. And I don't mean a half measure of internet either. I don't believe those citizens out there deserve half measures of internet. I've heard that, oh, it'll be better than they've ever got. Well, they got nothing now, So, but they deserve the same as what the folks in the county core are going to receive. And we should work to provide that service. And if it takes a committee to oversee and make sure that this happens, I believe we'd be doing our job. I hope that will answer your question.
Mr. Morrison,
I'd ask the warden, may I continue?
please.
Thank you. So, Councillor Gunn, you would foresee a committee of 6 people, 2 of whom are members of county staff, bearing in mind that county staff has drawn up the plan which council has approved. And you would see 2 council members, that is participation from the body that approved the plan which we are now following. And then you would see 2 citizen members who would be chosen according to certain criteria.
All right.
So on your committee, you would have 4 people who come from the part of the county organization that has approved the plan. I'm also wondering what council would do during the time that the committee is meeting. In other words, if this committee is formed, does council suspend what it's doing now until the committee makes a report? I'm assuming that the committee will report to council. And I'm just wondering if there could be any further elucidation of your views on those matters. Thank you.
Mr. Gunn?
Yes. Yes, thank you. I would believe that this committee would ensure that its main purpose would be to ensure that all county is being served equitably, period. I don't think that we're going to stop the initiation of the bill. I think there's probably a fair plan to come down with the core through the center of the valley. We know the Bay Shore has got to be looked after, but we're forgetting all those people out south, those people that have, as I have said, no access to service. In the valley core, there's a lot of providers out there. There's none out there. And so our job, the committee, would be ensured that those people don't get lost in the shuffle. And I see a great smile there, Alex. I'm just wondering if I'm being comical in that delivery.
No, I'm smiling because my wife and one of my dogs just passed through. All the while my wife was admonishing the dog to be quiet. Elizabeth wasn't au fait with the fact that I was able to mute what I was saying. And so I can assure you, Councillor Gunn, that the smile, which is not a common occurrence in my face, occurred because every time I see my wife, I smile. Thank you.
Yes. God love you.
Councillor LeBlanc?
Well, I guess my point is I did have residents in my area asking for the same thing, especially on the mountain. And because we have a situation because of the COVID that's even worse than what it was. Because of teachers needing the internet for their students, for their own kids, and for their classroom children. So it has caused an awakening, is what I'm going to call it, on the fact of how difficult our internet is to get on or to use or to stay on without being kicked off And we had we had the deputy warden come this morning and a few others, and it is a problem. There is no doubt. We said it from the beginning that there was a problem everywhere in our county, and especially the I don't know what you want to call it, but the end it's causing grief to try to get, you know, acceptable internet in the area. So from the beginning, I know that I always said, well, we need to get it through the whole county. I know that Deputy Warden Roberts was saying the same thing, and Councilor McDonald said, yes, everybody has to get it. And I think we're all on the same page. We all want every citizen to get internet because they're not getting it now. Lack of, or not at all, or spotty, or it's not great. I know that we can't do it all at the same time. It's not feasible. The money's not there, and we have to work by zones, or I don't know what word to use there, but by section as we go down the line and try to get to where we're going. The map has been provided, and John A. or Councilor McDonald has and is quite capable of maps that are provided to show what steps that are going through. And as we know, just like everything else, when you get to a point, certain things do happen. You have to veer off or do something different to accommodate what is happening. I don't think that you're going to find, I guess this is Mr. Gunn, Councilor Gunn. I'm in the same boat that I have people. I know that you do. I know that Councilor Deputy Warden Roberts has. I know that Morrison probably has. It's not just one specific area that we have to deal with. We're trying to deal with them all. And I think that was our mandate from the beginning. Leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor McNeil, are you back online? I think we've lost him. Councillor Fowler.
Yeah, I believe the internet provider's got a plan, and I think we should follow the plan. Things have been moving along like a turtle anyway, and I think now they've got a plan. We should let them carry on instead of holding them up.
Hold them up.
Thank you, Councillor Gunn. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Fowler. At the very beginning of this process, of course, our entire internet build stemmed from the public meetings that were conducted right across the county. And in every single meeting that we had, the necessity of internet was highlighted as one of the top 3 priorities for every community that we visited. That was the reason that our municipality was the first in all of Atlantic Canada to develop internally its own plan for the rollout of an internet and of an internet build that was designed to be comprehensive. We were the first municipality that stated that our intention was to provide internet to everyone. If you look at most of the projects that have been approved across the country, most of them are very, very zone specific. They'll deal with a small cluster here or a small cluster there and leave significant stretches undone. We're the only municipality that has already tasked itself with a mandate of extending internet to everyone we can possibly reach. It was never something that was going to be feasible to provide the exact same level of service to every resident simultaneously. Builds don't work that way. But we have a plan to reach about 80% of the homes in Annapolis County within the first 2 years. We've been shown financial projections for how we believe the business should function and the point at which we can start to consistently reinvest a portion of profits into extending the fiber network itself in order to eventually reach everybody as we're able to afford to do so. It's our intention, however, not to leave those last homes untouched until then. We'd like to take short-term steps as well to extend internet to them through wireless builds or potential other technologies, always with the objective of providing people with good, stable, reliable service. Now, the service that we have planned for the valley, that we've got planned for the valley floor and the CTI build and all the areas we've managed to reach with this initial stage, this fiber build is, of course, a Cadillac model. And the reason for it being a Cadillac model is we wanted it to be as future compatible as possible, right? We didn't want to have council faced with the prospect of replacing an obsolete system in 5 or 6 years' time. The fact of the matter is, virtually no private residence will actually need a full gig of upload and download speeds for the next decade. It's a speed that would allow you to have, again, a roughly 200 movies streaming on different devices in the same home simultaneously. That's how much bandwidth we're talking. But it's future compatible and it's upgradable, and it means that the county's investing in the technology which gives us the longest life cycle before we have to be looking at wide-scale replacement. What we're talking about installing to try to reach the rest of our residents right away as we're working to extend that fiber build to everybody, which has always been our stated intention. But what we're planning to do in the short term, the wireless solution, still provides a significant amount of speed, as much as certain high-speed offerings from various internet providers right now. So it is a true high-speed internet that we're intending to extend in order to meet exactly the needs that Councillor Gunn has spoken to and that Councillor LeBlanc has remarked have been made very vivid, of course, by the COVID-19 and the experiences that people have had working from home and attempting to do their schooling from home. My district, of course, includes West Dalhousie and the residences on Morse Road. So I have residents in the exact same situation that's being described for Councillor Gunn's district and the deputy wardens and Councillor LeBlanc's. I know precisely how vivid that need is because there's students in my district who were not able to participate in class meetings over the last couple of months because the internet doesn't reach them. And absolutely that need is vivid and that need must be addressed. And as a municipality, we are taking steps to address that need. Our objective has always been clear: to reach everybody and provide this essential service to the entirety of the county. No build is going to be perfect or completely comprehensive from the outset. It's just that there's always holes. There are holes in this. But what we produced was a build that was strong enough in its business case that we were approved for one of the largest CTI grants that was approved by the federal government, which permitted us to extend to a whole area of the county that would financially have been extremely challenging for us to reach on our own. The areas in my district and Councillor Gunn's district and the Deputy Warden's district that are remote and that have sparser homes is again financially challenging. We are going to reach them. We're not going to leave those residents unaddressed. Clearly our intention. I would, however, be very cautious about any prospect of slowing down or reconsidering what our current build is. It took us a lot of time to reach the point where we had a good, strong, stable plan that was affordable for the municipality. We have that. It's moving forward right now. We have action taking place on the streets right now as the build is being put into place. I think being forward-sighted and thinking about what our next steps will be is critically important. And certainly a committee could be formed to consider what those next steps could look like. But they'll be governed also partly by what sorts of funds we're able to secure and by when profits start to emerge from the existing bill, because a portion of the profits of the existing bill get reinvested into extending it. So my thought, we have a plan, and the plan has always been to reach everybody. Councillor Gunn, I don't believe that you were interrupted during the course of your speech, but you sidebar on a fairly regular basis, so we appreciate it if you would not. Thank you. We intend to reach everybody. That's what we're attempting to do. Is Councillor McNeil back online yet? Would anyone else like to speak?
Councillor McNeil is on by phone. He's not on.
Oh, there. Good. Councillor McNeil?
Yeah, sorry about that.
No,
Can you hear
it's
me?
fine. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I haven't heard a lot of the stuff. I kind of agree with what's been said in that we have to reach everybody, but my understanding of reaching everybody, that also included those extra 5 towers we have. I know the expense of running that fiber is going to be phenomenal, I would think. But anyway, I mean, the committee, I don't know. I just wonder what the powers of the committee would be. but not that I'm against having citizens and council members and staff involved in it, but I think we've come a long way, and we kind of need to be cautious of it. But my understanding is those towers are going to reach those people as well. It may not be the fiber, but it will be internet. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Sheridan.
So just regarding the application that we just approved, John, to apply for, that was regarding Springfield and out Veriver Way and different places, was it not? Could you give me an update on that? Like, is where that was going?
It was. I think John can update council on that. Yes.
Thank you.
So we met with Develop Nova Scotia, and we met with Emmerich, and to determine the costing of the system. The way it's set up is NCS is one of the companies recognized by Develop Nova Scotia, and they can partner with municipalities, other companies that they like. In this particular format for this grant, the company has to put 10% down of whatever the cost is. So we were projecting roughly about, bare minimum, about 6.5 million. And as a part of that process, they would have to put $650,000 down as a financial bond. And then my understanding, and I will seek further clarification on this because we did not submit an application on this round for this reason, was that we believe the remaining amount of the anticipated cost also had to be provided to Develop Nova Scotia for the term of the entire bill. And then it would be paid back once it was deemed to complete what the application said it would complete. And it was too difficult for NCS and too difficult for the county to proceed under those types of conditions. You have to have extremely deep pockets on this particular round. Now, I'm not sure if that's the way this will proceed in the future, but that's my general understanding. Again, I haven't talked to Develop Nova Scotia to confirm some of the information that we received on Thursday of last week and unpacked it, but primarily the upfront financial cost, although you do get your money back, it's a significant amount of money that must stay within Develop Nova Scotia. I assume trust account for, I believe, at least a year.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Gunn.
Am I muted? No, I am.
No, you're good to go.
And I apologize before. I thought I was muted, you know. Anyway, so, you know, what we're going to vote here in this motion is basically, you know, whether council is fine with the inequity that's being delivered in this service. And now, one of the other things here is, you know, I can go back a long time here. I've got a pretty good memory for some things. When, you know, I got to know, when did we vote on the council approved the plan? Because I can't remember a plan since we've changed with, I can know that, you know, Councillor McDonald is following the map along on one thing and another in that plan. But when did we actually approve a plan short of when we were in business with Mainland years ago? If you know what I mean, and in the Mainland plan. And that had, we talked four towers, not five, but the 4 towers with dedicated signals, with a dedicated signal from this tower to that tower, and then back to fiber for delivery to the customer. That's what we had planned at one time. I don't know what happened to that plan, because you see here recently, we've talked about now entering with Emmerich to talk about broadband and a G5 network that, you know, the jury's still out on the G5. But so now, and we've talked about Emmerich with broadband, and white noise at one time. You know, we did using the white noise. And a few years ago, when we all went to a meeting in Caledonia and the province, I'm sorry to say, the province wanted us all to tie into broadband, and everybody said, it doesn't work unless it's, you know, point to point. So, you know, it seems to me that we've moved ahead in some respects. Listen, it looks like it's going to be covered on most of your places, you know, the internet. Very few places in my district are going to be covered. I'll be thankful for what we have covered, and I'll let my citizens know that council's fine with, we'll get it. A little less, but we'll get it someday. Thank you.
Councillor Gunn, anyone else like to speak? Could maybe Carol, Councillor McDonald, thank you.
Yeah, just briefly, you know that map I sent out that was given to us from Eagle, which I follow every morning. Even in my district, which involves 2 or 3 of their zones, along with many others, it shows a backbone fiber, but it shows lots of roads and lots of civic addresses that don't have backbone fiber down their road. And I'm well aware of that, but I'm also aware that once backbone is built, another strand of fiber can go down that road and service those 20 homes. Just because there are some blue or red or purple lines on a map, it doesn't make it the end all. It is the absolute beginning of getting as much internet as possible to as many of our residents as possible. And I've been an advocate of that since before I got elected. And I will continue to be. I know how important it is. I don't see any growth without it. I also don't see one person connected yet. I think it's very early to condemn a plan that has barely begun. If I'm still here for another 4 years and I plan on running, my number one thing will continue to be internet to every corner of this county, and a quality of internet where they can attend school, whether it be public school or university or college, so that they can run their businesses from their homes to as many people as possible. And I'm not sure how we can do better than that at this point. And I'm not sure adding a committee to the plan is going to help it. It is great to receive information from our residents, or questions, or complaints, or opinions, right? And I love receiving those, and I get them along with all of you. And they all say, they all give me input to bring to council. And another committee on our internet project isn't going to provide any more information than what we know. It's absolutely critical we get this done as soon as possible and to as many people. I'm not convinced another committee is going to help. I guess I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McDonald. Any further discussion? All right, Carolyn, could you please read the motion again for us?
Sure. It was moved by Councillor Gunn, seconded by Deputy Warden Roberts, to recommend the Municipal Council form a committee of staff, council, and citizen members to oversee and direct the planning and implementation of equitable rural high-speed internet for all of the County of Annapolis.
Just before we actually take the vote, I would like to note, because of the phrasing of that motion, if this motion is carried, it involves the delegation of a significant portion of council's direct authority to a committee. Because according to the motion, it gives the committee the right to oversee and implement. That means that it's handing off authority over the internet development to a committee of council. Just to be aware.
Right.
All right. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Motion's defeated. Okay, thank you very much. Let's go on now to a request for decision on the Tom's Cool Bus vendor permit. Could we ask the deputy warden if she could read the request for the decision?
I do not have the motions in front of me, and if I knew how to split my screen, I could.
Got it. Is there somebody else who has their agenda in front of them who could read the motion up for us? Deputy Councillor LeBlanc, thank you.
The motion is, it is recommended that council conditionally approve the vendor on municipal property application submitted for Tom and issue a permit for the 2020-2021 fiscal year pending all bylaw requirements are satisfied in accordance with S6 commercial activity on municipal property bylaw, and that current restrictions are lifted on municipal parks due to COVID-19 pandemic, especially the Annapolis River Causeway Park. In addition, that any new park guidelines that are implemented are adhered to, including customer wait lines, cleaning, and availability of hand sanitation, etc.
Seconded by Councillor Fowler. Discussion on the motion. Carolyn.
Could I ask the mover and seconder if they would insert and authorize the clerk to issue a permit?
And authorize the clerk to issue a permit.
All right, and seconder, you're good with that too? All right.
Thank you.
Let's see. All right, comments or questions?
I have a question.
John?
Tom had reached out to me last week. We didn't finish our conversation, but he did suggest that he was seeking to be able to have his bus stay on the site, I think for up to 3 days in a row, and then he can move it. The amount of moving and on-moving is, I find it quite difficult. I'd like to talk to him more about that to make sure I've understood him correctly. But he was asking if he could leave it there for 3 days and then remove it and bring it back. And then he was also asking, I think, something around porta potties and whatnot. And I'd like to follow up with him. We didn't have a chance to finish the discussion on that. So I'd like to discuss that with him before council next week, just so I'm clear on what he was asking. Okay?
Okay.
But I think those two requests are going to be asked of council to consider.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. All right, Councillor McNeil.
Yeah, I as well received a phone call from him because he's in my district there, but he was wondering about the porta potty only because he will maintain it and all the rest of it. He told me, right, supply the stuff that need it, right? But he was a little concerned about the tourist bureau. Is it going to be open this summer? So anyway, he is looking as well to probably have a porta potty somewhere near there.
Councillor McDonald.
Got it. I have the same. Thank you, Mr. Ferguson, because that's exactly what I had in my notes. Although in E of this, he doesn't specify 3 days for parking, and that concerned me because it's not a parking permit; it's a permit to run a.
Mobile canteen.
That's correct, a mobile canteen, and it's not like a place to park RVs or buses or anything like that. And yet, that's kind of the way that last paragraph in E read, and that bothered me. The porta potty thing doesn't bother me so much. We have the finger docks down there. We have a bit of a park, and therefore it doesn't bother me so much. But the parking thing, it bothered me. Thank you, and I'm glad that you're looking into it. So does that mean we're not going to vote on this today, or what? I'd like to see him get going, but I don't want to see him park there all summer.
This is committee of the whole, so you can move to make this recommendation to go to council. Ultimately, he wants to get a permit to start. I don't think council's going to object to that. That's what he's been doing in the past. He's asked for a couple of additions. It allows us a chance to have a discussion with him, get a sense. That park area is great concern to many citizens who live in the area. And they don't want overnight RVs and stuff like that. So it's something that we should discuss further.
This motion is to issue a permit for the mobile vendor.
So it doesn't include any of those other conditions that he was looking for. It's the simple permit process we put in place last year.
Yeah, he's called for those additional pieces, and Tom's really trying hard to do what he can to make that work. And during this time period, I think he feels that his business may be impacted because of the lack of people that may be gathering, obviously, so he's weighing all those things. He's trying to really streamline it so that he keeps his costs in line. And that's a part of his request. So I'd like to talk to him a little bit more. I think it's fair for you to understand exactly what he's asking, and we can possibly make that decision next Tuesday.
Okay. Deputy
Or
Warden.
council could probably make that decision next Tuesday.
Okay. Deputy Warden?
No, if we're just voting on the permit, that's fine, but I have a few thoughts on the porta potty and him leaving his bus there.
Gotcha. Okay. Councillor LeBlanc.
And that was my thing too. We're only voting on this, and from what I can understand, Mr. Ferguson will bring us the information after he speaks at council, or possibly, to discuss the other things. And so I think we should move on with the question.
Okay. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you very much. If you would continue, Councillor LeBlanc, with the next RFD for the amendment of the AM 1.2.1 remuneration for warden, deputy warden, and councillors policy.
Okay.
Actually, I have mine now.
Oh, you've got it now? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, deputy warden, in that case. Thank you, Councillor LeBlanc.
Thank you, Councilor Blah. That 7 days notice being given for municipal council to amend AM-1.2.1 remuneration and allowances for warden, deputy warden, and councilors policy by deleting section 3, renumbering subsequent sections.
Seconded by Councillor Morrison. Discussion on the motion, and I'll maybe speak to it right off the bat, and maybe turn it over to Dawn to clarify anything that I might happen to get wrong. So the reason this is coming forward is there's an essential contradiction in the policy with the way it's currently phrased. You have in section, I believe the original section 7, a statement that says, in the absence of a resolution of council, that councillors' salaries will go up by the annual cost of living increase, just the flat increase, which would indicate that it's possible for council not to make a resolution on the issue at all. However, because the policy, when it was first written, actually included the dollar amounts of salaries, and those dollar amounts will change with cost of living or anything else that might happen to be done to salaries, including reductions if that was ever done, that every year, regardless, the policy has to be re-amended every single year. Councillor, and we're all salary information, of course, included in our financial statements, and it's all included in our budget figures. So it's all very public information. But with the way this is phrased right now, this policy has to come back and be amended by resolution every single year, whereas it actually could be an automatic process. Did I get that right, Don?
Yeah, the policy basically contradicts itself. It says one thing in one section, another thing in another section, and this just ultimately takes the onus away from having to adjust the salary number every year in the policy when it's done so in the financial statements.
Further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Thanks very much. Next, RFD AM 2.1.4 vacation leave policy amendment.
I move that 7 days notice being given to municipal council to amend AM 2.1.4 vacation leave policy by deleting the current wording in subsection 6.2 and replacing with the same wording that is in the current CUPE agreement for vacation.
Okay, seconder for the motion.
McNeil.
Seconded by Councillor McNeil. Discussion on the motion. All in favor of the motion signify. Oh, Councillor McDonald?
Yeah, I just want to be 100% sure that this doesn't change anything. That's the way I read it. It appears that everything's the same, it's just less words. Is that
John?
correct? The number of years, AV and all that, it's all the same, just worded better.
John?
Actually, no, it does change. It changes for employees who have 30 years or more. It was ceiling maximum that was lower for employees with 30 years or more. This request to amend will match the QP agreement, which increases by 1 day per year for employees 30 years and more. So only employees with 30 years and more does it impact.
Okay, so
Okay.
thank you.
All right. Further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Thanks very much. And next, RFD C8, alternative voting bylaw.
To recommend that municipal council give first reading to approve C8 alternative voting bylaw as circulated.
Seconder for the motion. Seconded by Councillor Sheridan. Discussion on the motion. Councillor Fowler?
Yeah, I'll be voting against this motion. I believe people want to go out to the polls to be able to vote and to see others. And also, it's not clear, people have cell phones, and it's not clear who calls from, and ID numbers is usually left somewhere in the house, and if people go and get their ID number, they could use a cell phone to do the voting, and people just don't. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Warden?
And so if we change to this process, I mean, is it not possible to at least have one voting station in each district?
Yeah.
Because I find that it's the phoning in thing I feel would be difficult to some people. And then you have people that they've always voted by ballot, and I was just kind of wondering if it was possible that when the time comes that we could possibly have a voting station in each district.
Because we've never done this before, we're using the tried and true ways that have been paved before us by other municipalities. I expect, and council would all still come back to council, I expect we would have one place in each district where people could come cast an electronic vote. So, and it's not just by cell phones or internet, it's by any telephone. A vote can be placed by any telephone. There are stopgaps in place. They would receive a PIN number, and they would have to input other information that only they would know. I know that your returning officer, Mr. Patterson, is present here. He's done a lot of research on the matter, better than I can. And I would just also say that the company that is servicing the other municipalities in Nova Scotia would be willing to come give an information session to council. So if you make a recommendation today, they would be willing to come do a Zoom meeting with you before you have to do your final decision for first reading next Tuesday. If Mr. Patterson, Warden, information than I do.
All right, thank you. I'll go to Councillor Fowler and then maybe back over to Mr. Patterson to speak further. Thank you, Councillor Fowler. Thank you.
Several years, over the past, I've been in council for 20 years or 24 years, and they have tried e-voting, what have you, and we all went against it, especially where there's some votes and people don't know exactly who is calling and where and they could represent somebody else and say they are who they aren't, and what have you, and get votes through. I don't trust the system.
Thanks very much. Did we just lose Mr. Patterson?
No, I'm here.
Oh, there we go. Thank you. I'll go to you, and then I've got Councillor Proud, and then Councillor Morrison. Go ahead, Doug.
I would really recommend to council, if you have questions, I think you would find it valuable to have the vendor speak to you. He's obviously an expert. I've been to presentations with him and with other Nova Scotia municipalities that have explained it in detail. I was surprised to learn it's already the most common way people in Nova Scotia vote. 65% of voters in the 2016 election in Nova Scotia actually voted through electronic tools. It's been proven to be really popular even amongst groups that we might expect are harder to convert to it. It's been proven that seniors really like it. People in rural areas really like it.
Thank you. Councillor Prout?
Thank you. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't have any crystal ball. And of course, voter safety in the time of perhaps second coming of the COVID-19 pandemic is important. It should be our primary concern. But from what I'm reading here, it would appear that a lot of things are presumed to be happening. For instance, section 1. The returning officer shall cause notice of alternative polling days to be published in a newspaper circulating in the municipality. As far as I know, Saltwire has stopped publication of all the local papers. Many of them for sure. I'm not aware of any currently published in Annapolis County. And along with that, if we put it in the Chronicle Herald, there are numerous people who don't subscribe to the Chronicle Herald. I just look down through and I wonder, can we do this in the manner that they're suggesting we can? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Proud. Councillor Morrison?
Thank you. I focused very clearly on what the motion is. We are not deciding to have this type of voting. We have not made that decision. We have not been asked to make that decision. If at a certain time council decides to take this up, then we will consider all of this in detail. Or if the province requires us to have it, we will take a look at this in detail. I wasn't prepared for a detailed vote on this today. I was prepared for a vote on the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. John, you wanted to speak?
Yeah. Part of the reason why the bylaw is here is that it's a 2-month process, I believe, in order for the bylaw to be approved, and it won't get approved in time if in the event that council chooses to go this way. Now, just based on what Councillor Morrison said, I would completely agree. I think this is still a discretionary decision as to whether or not you go to electronic voting or whether or not you form some other form of voting. I don't think it's a ministerial order. And I'm not sure how many municipalities in Nova Scotia do not conduct electronic voting. So I'm not sure exactly what will happen in the next little while, but this will get you ready in the event that you do need to make a decision. You've got your ducks lined up to do so. But ultimately, I think at the end of the day, in the absence of a ministerial order under the state of an emergency, for example, I think the choice is still there to actually have a facility where people don't vote. But highly unlikely in COVID-19. So this is about creating readiness.
Thank you. Councillor Sheridan and then Councillor Fowler.
I was just going to mention, recall Carolyn mentioning it was going to take 2 months to do the process for this. So this is what I was going to recommend too. I completely agree that we should do electronic voting. I think it's more convenient, especially in the time of COVID. I don't have a problem with it, and I will support the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Fowler?
Yeah, well, ARC, Mountain and supervised departments, a lot of people don't have computers, don't have no way of voting, would have no way of voting, what have you, unless they have a polling station. Thank you.
All right. Thanks very much. Councillor Gunn?
Thank you.
And then Councillor LeBlanc, and then Councillor McDonald.
Thank you. I won't be supporting this motion because in my district, which is District 8, there's very little computer service out there and very little cell service. So I won't be supporting it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor LeBlanc?
Well, from my understanding here, it's we can consider putting 1 polling station in each district, 1, and 2. My understanding of this is that you can use a landline to do this. You don't have to be on your internet, or you don't have to be on your cell phone. Now, am I correct on that last part, or am I not? That's what I know.
Mr. Patterson?
Telephone.
Yeah, that's correct. A landline telephone will suffice.
Right. So everybody can use this process, because if they have a landline that works, or a cell phone, or they can use their internet, and we can also decide to put a suggested 1 open polling station in each district, which would suffice everybody for their first turn of trying this out. That's how I understand this motion, and then we can get it underway so that it doesn't hold us up in case we have to use this method because of any COVID. So I think I will support this motion. Well, I know I will support this motion because it should be able to touch everybody. Is, according to what I see, everybody can vote one way or another on 1 electronic device or another.
Thank you. Councillor McDonald?
I noticed a couple things I'm a little fuzzy on. Item 5, 1A, it says identify the title election for councillor or election for school board member. We don't have those anymore, do we?
The French school board still runs at the same time as the municipal elections. There are no regular school boards, but the Conseil scolaire acadien provincial still their school board election at the same time.
So we should leave it on there. Okay, and then in my other thing, it was, what is that, 9, 2. A candidate shall not act as a friend voter unless the elector is a child, grandchild, brother, sister, parent, grandparent, or spouse of the candidate. That limits it to a family member, and there may not be a family member even within the province or exist. That I'd like to see that loosened a little bit to to add someone else. If you understand what I'm saying.
Yes.
I have several elderly people, and their whole families are gone everywhere, right? They just aren't handy to help them get through this process. So that was about it, other than even if we don't use this in October coming right up, and most of the county won't have the new internet at that time, it will future-proof for the future. Next year, the year after, 4 years from now, it'll already be in place, and it won't take 2 months to implement. And I think it's a good idea to start heading in this direction. Thank you.
Councillor Morrison's next, but I'm gonna go to Carolyn first because I think you wanted to respond.
Yeah, I do. I just wanted to, right now, under a paper ballot, Councillor, you would not be able to act as a friend of a voter to any more of those than did right now.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Morrison.
Thank you. I just want to be clear. It's my understanding that if we pass this motion, when will we have a discussion as to whether or not we will have electronic voting? This motion.
So when would that determination have to be made? Because I'm guessing
Yes.
if we work backwards chronologically, I'm guessing there's a date by which a decision must be made for this. When would that be?
Is that the August 17th when it must be firm by August 17th?
Yeah. Okay.
We're going to conduct the election. I'll be quiet.
Councillor Morrison?
So then we have to have a discussion in order to meet a mid-August timeline. So we have to discuss that in June or in July. That would be my question.
If the final decision was to have an alternative voting option, this bylaw must be in place. For this bylaw to be in place by August 17th, you have to give first reading in June and second reading in July.
I'm sorry, I'm not concerned about the bylaw. Not at all. Because this motion, this bylaw does not tie us to electronic voting.
That's right.
But it appears to me from what the clerk has just said, that in this month, June, we will have to decide whether we have electronic voting or not.
I believe the clerk said that the decision has to be made by August 17th, which means we would at least have committee of the whole and council in July for consideration. Is that correct, Carolyn?
In my mind, it's all tied together because there are different processes that have to be followed. If it's your intent to go with electronic voting, there are processes that staff have to start with immediately, if not sooner. If we're engaging with a vendor, that's a whole separate thing. And we would have to engage with the vendor before August 17th.
Okay, all right. So the decision does have to be made in advance of that. It needs to be made now.
Maybe John, if you can jump in, if this bylaw is put in place, does that mean they have to follow this bylaw and have this vote, or does this just give an option to a paper vote? They could do this and/or. Maybe John could answer that.
Go ahead, John.
My understanding is this is to facilitate being able to consider whether to use it, not forcing council to use it. I feel this is a platform on which council will make their decisions how the voting will take place in the fall, because this provides the ability to have other options. If we don't put this bylaw in place now, there will be no other options.
Right.
Councillor Sheridan?
So in regards to a earlier conversation in another meeting, did I recall hearing that they were having difficulty getting enough workers to work in the polls, and this is one of the alternative routes that we were going to take because we don't have enough workers to get to all the polls?
Carolyn?
Yes. We would, to fully staff a full election in all districts, there are 30 polling stations and 4 mobile polls. We would need 3 people minimum for each of those. That's about 125 because we have to have people on standby.
On a point of order, please. This is not the question we are now debating. The question we are debating is in the motion, and it clearly says, if we decide, then this is the bylaw. What we're doing today is not in this discussion, is not deciding whether we're going to have electronic voting. All we're deciding is if we decide to have electronic voting, this is the bylaw that we will use. So any discussion concerning whether we will have electronic voting is beside the question.
Councillor Morrison's absolutely correct. Thank you for that. Councillor Fowler?
Yeah, on Facebook, I think there's an advertisement in there for the county looking for workers for the poll stations, and I was just wondering how that was turning out.
We still don't.
Okay. All right. Further discussion, folks? If there's none, then all, Councillor LeBlanc?
There was a suggestion that we could meet as council with the vendor.
Yes.
And I just wondered, when could that occur? Should it occur now or later? Like, do we have a time frame, or do we have to put our name in and then they call back to us? Or I'm just wondering that particular part. Carolyn seems to have the answer.
So I saw on a NSFM bulletin that went out on Monday that Intellivote, the vendor that we've been talking to, is opening a Zoom conference for people to come in and do exactly, give you the information you need. That happens at the council. The same contact person from that vendor is willing to do a Zoom workshop with you anytime this week, if you wanted to. They're prepared to come meet with you.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you. Councillor Gunn?
Thank you. So with this electronic voting, you know, when I was reading through this and listening, that means people can vote by proxy. Is that right? Am I getting this right? You can vote. If I get somebody that's a citizen or a landowner here and can get registered to vote, but they're not in the province, through this electronic system, they can still have their vote. Is that right?
Mr. Patterson?
I believe the bylaw says in number 8, a proxy shall not vote for an elector by alternative voting, and that's because the voter themselves, even if they're away, can phone in or use another means.
Huh.
So somebody who's out of province can call in and register their own vote. Exactly.
Register their own vote.
Thank you. Councillor Morrison?
Thank you. I think we should make it clear that owning land is not a prerequisite to vote. And if you do own land, you don't have a vote unless you're a resident of this province. Thank you.
That's right. So people would have had to have been home to receive any correspondence that would have the PIN number or the login information.
Right.
Voting by proxy was only ever for people who were not going to be present on the regular poll.
Further discussion, folks? John?
There was one point that I didn't add to what Councillor Morrison had already mentioned, but we didn't talk about the fact that the Municipal Elections Act is a provincial statute. It's at the whim of the province. Although I don't think it's a strong possibility, there is the possibility that the province, depending on what happens with coronavirus, could mandate that municipalities must do alternative voting.
And that's in the motion.
All right. If there's nothing further, and all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, 2 nays. The motion's carried. Thank you very much. Oh, Councillor Deputy Warden, did you vote nay as well? Or is this?
No, I have a question.
Yes, please go ahead.
I was wondering if I could make the motion to have that company come and do a Zoom session with us.
I'll second that.
Is that a possibility to have them do something specifically with us? Yes, it is. Okay,
Yes.
so it's not just the group Zoom they're doing this week. All right,
No,
so it's been-
that's 2 weeks away. The group Zoom that they were offering,
Okay.
they're willing to come meet just with you.
All right. So it's been moved by the Deputy Warden and seconded by Councillor LeBlanc that we extend an invitation to the company to present to us at next week's council meeting. Carolyn? Or the invite them to meet with us.
It would be easier for you to have a workshop. We ran into trouble with Zoom presentations and hosting abilities. If it was a workshop where it's not being recorded, it's easier for them to have the control to present to you. if it's in a
Understood.
workshop situation.
Okay, that's fine with me. Well, so for a workshop, you're both in agreement with that?
Yes.
All right.
Do you have a suggested date? Some dates that you would like us to check with them?
Suggested dates, Deputy Ward?
And I would say, as soon as they could, so we could make the proper decision when it comes time to.
They're
make that.
available the rest of this week. We've asked them if they're available Wednesday morning, Wednesday afternoon, Thursday morning, Friday. Yeah. They are available. We've checked with them. For the,
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So when would
What
you
about
like it?
Thursday?
This Thursday?
Yeah,
I'm good.
Okay. And what time? What time for that?
9.
Okay, 9 o'clock on Thursday. Councillor Proud, is that all right for you? Oh, you're muted. You're muted. I'm
muted.
Still muted.
let me help you. No, I can't help you. I can't unmute you.
If you touch your own picture with your, no, you're still muted, I'm afraid, Councillor. If you tap your own picture on the screen with the mouse, you should see three little dots come up in the right-hand corner, and there should be an unmute symbol next to it. There we are.
How's that? Sorry about
Perfect.
that.
No
Any
worries.
chance we could make that Thursday afternoon or a mid-afternoon or another day?
So make it Thursday, 2 o'clock. Is that all right? Is that all right with the mover and seconder? Councillor Sheridan, is that all right for you?
I have a foundation meeting in the afternoon Thursday.
What
A Zoom
time?
meeting. It's at 3:30.
So how about 1 o'clock?
What about
How about 1 o'clock on Thursday?
Wednesday or Friday? I have a medical appointment. I think it's at 11:30 on.
Understood. Would
Long
one
Standard.
would 1:30 be
Does Wednesday afternoon work?
Wednesday afternoon?
That's tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tomorrow.
Would that be all right?
Yep.
Would if it's not a position on others.
Wednesday at 1?
1 o'clock Wednesday tomorrow.
Is that good?
Yep.
We will verify with them if they're available at 1 specifically. Yeah.
Okay, terrific.
So
All
you
right.
need a
so
second
much.
day? You need a second time in case?
You want to give us a second backup time?
Well, might as well do
Thursday at
that
1.
now. Well, it would have to be Friday because Thursday doesn't seem to work.
Friday at 1. Do you want us to check Wednesday at 1 and Friday at 1 as a second time?
Sounds
Sounds
good.
good.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. All right. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion's carried. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
All right, let's go on to a miscellaneous utility capital request. Maybe
That
Steve would like to,
committee
let's go ahead.
That committee of the whole recommend to council the following funding request in support of ongoing repairs and upgrades to county utilities. $20,000 county wastewater reserve balance, $234,981.29. $15,000 Bridgetown wastewater reserve balance, $270,000. 25,000 county water reserve balance, 389,793.88. 5,000 Bridgetown water reserve balance, $466,619.88.
McDonald.
Seconded by Councillor McDonald. Discussion on the, Steve, do you want to speak to any of this?
This is a capital program we generally have every year. We just didn't approve these particular ones when we brought the capital plan forward. This helps us buy particularly pumps and panels that fail. They're expensive and it doesn't unduly pressure the operational budgets, which have enough pressure keeping up with the cost of ongoing chemicals and any kind of major repair, especially in water. And this allows us to track those capital purchases, which are over $1,000. So they have to be over 1,000, and they generally replace equipment that has either aged out or has failed.
Any questions? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Thanks very much. Now, next in your package, you'll see a piece of correspondence that we received from the Annapolis Valley Regional Library Board with reference to the termination of bookmobile services that's going to be coming up this fall. And you may be asking why it is that this is included in your agenda today rather than included as correspondence for next week. And the reason for that is when I saw this correspondence arrive on my desk, I was immediately reminded of the day that bus was unveiled. And I was on the library board at the time. I had a chance to tour it. And it's really quite a remarkable vehicle, the vehicle itself. It has the extended cabs, got 6.5 feet of height of head clearance inside. It's, I believe it's wheelchair accessible. It certainly is one of the buses that has a low step-on threshold. And it's a sprinter van, and sprinter vans often will get in excess of 500,000 kilometers in distance. And it occurred to me to wonder what the intention of the library was for the disposition of this bus if they're terminating that service. Because we've discussed on several occasions that it would be a good idea to invest in some sort of a point-to-point tie-in to connect communities like Bear River, Margarettsville, some other places on the shore, maybe Springfield, into our King's Transit line. And this bus, if it were converted back into a passenger vehicle, might potentially be a very cost-effective way to accomplish that goal. It could just be useful infrastructure to have. Councillor Morrison was kind enough to speak to the CAO of the library to find out how many kilometers are currently on the bus. And it's got 221,000 kilometers on it right now, so it probably has a fair bit of life left in it. And I wondered if council might like to have the consideration of the bus and what costs would be associated with converting it back into a passenger vehicle, to refer that consideration to staff to come back with recommendations for council, just to see if it's, I don't know if it's cost effective, but if it was, it could be a useful investment in being able to tie in some of our far-flung communities into our core transit system. Councillor Gunn.
Thank you. I'd make that motion that we refer this to council or to staff to look at and see what it would cost for us to
convert it
to convert into a passenger and put it on the road, of course.
Thank you. So that's moved by Councillor Gunn, seconded by Councillor Morrison. Discussion, Deputy Warden.
And I would like to have some information on how we would migrate that into the transit system. Would King's Transit be running it, or would the county have to do that portion on their own, or?
There'd be a lot of things we need to figure out to see exactly how it would work. Absolutely. Councillor LeBlanc?
This is a point that the Bannon has been talking about, trying to get the people to our main line of King's Transit. So this would be interesting for him to have knowledge about, and also at the same time, knowing that buying seats for buses is costly. The transfer, everything else on the bus, I think would be okay. But at the same time, I know that there are buses out there that are ready to go to the I don't know where, to the bus heaven, I guess. So what I'm thinking is possibly it would be nice to speak with Ben and ask if there's any possibility of using some of the seats on those buses, which are usually they're fine, and to place on this bus or have some input on that. Just wondering about all those things. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor LeBlanc. Councillor Morrison.
Thank you. I've been made aware by a representative of another library region in the province that region may also be interested in this vehicle. I pass that on, not to put any pressure on staff, but simply to underline the urgency of us receiving the information. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor McDonald, did you want to speak?
No, question.
Question? Okay. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you very much. Let's go on to our departmental reports in that case. We'll start off with community development. Could I have a motion to receive that report, please? Moved by the Deputy Warden and seconded by Councillor Sheridan. And I believe that already Carolyn would like to speak. You're muted, Carolyn.
Let me just capture the motion there. For the last motion that was made regarding having staff investigate that vehicle, when
That's
did
right.
that information to come back to you? Like at Law Committee of the Whole, or?
It would be great. We don't want to put undue pressure on staff when I know people are very busy, but at the same time, if there are other parties potentially interested in the bus, we should get an idea of the ballpark figure, whether or not it's a cost-effective thing to consider, or that we should be looking for something else. So if it could be done for Committee of the Whole in July, that would be great, but I wouldn't want to make it a strict requirement just in case things get out of hand in the course of July.
Just so that staff knows what their timeline is. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion?
Yeah, I would suggest something there as far as that the bus goes, that whoever manufactured that should probably be contacted, because they probably took all the seats out of it if it wasn't already ordered that way. So I think that's going to be quite costly, but anyway.
Okay, all right. So on the community development report, any questions on the report? Councillor Morrison.
Thank you. On page 44, number G, letter G, I'm wondering if this information could be placed on the web page, please, because not everybody in the county is on Facebook, and there are a lot of people who are on the web who are not on Facebook.
All right, so I think that's a fair request.
And also yes, with regard to letter M, wondering if there might be some way for the county webpage to participate in that as well.
All right. Further discussion or comments or questions on this report? Deputy Warden.
I was just wondering, I see on here that they're preparing Ravenhaven to be open. Could I have an update on what we are going to do there?
Is Deborah online? There she is.
I am online. What we're doing this year is we're not opening as an overnight facility for camping or cabins. So we're opening for a day use park only. And so we will not be opening the wash house, and we will not be having any rentals. So it will be like any other park, except that we are putting 2 porta potties, which is absolutely necessary there, to accommodate the needs of the beach goers. We will also be posting signage so that to indicate our rules, and we'll have to check on Ravenhaven probably more regularly because it is a higher use park. So, and it's more remote, yes. So that's sort of the general plan for right now.
Yeah, okay. Go ahead, Deputy Warden.
We'll be following the health guidelines on like monitoring how many people are on that beach at a time, or?
Well, we can't monitor daily on that, but what we are posting signs and letting people use the park and use what you're allowed to use any park or trail in Nova Scotia right now in regard to if you abide by the following rules: no more than 10 in a group, which is a pod, or I guess you call it the family bubble. And you have to exercise social distancing. So there are limited resources that we are going to have. It's a test, you know, I mean, we're in really strange times, COVID-19, and operating Ravenhaven just as a day use park. Well, we'll see how that goes in, you know, that section of our county.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor LeBlanc.
Yes, I'd like to ask about the recreation and the municipal parks and trails where we're talking about having a required checks and regulations. Are they going to each do we have a team of workers that are going to each park as we see fit every couple weeks or whatever? Because with all these windstorms that we've been getting, I hear a lot of problems that there's a lot of branches and everything in our different parks, especially in O'Mell Park.
Yes, we did. We did have an issue in O'Mell, at O'Mell Trail, and it was dealt with very quickly with municipal operations. So we did
Yes.
take down that tree.
Yeah.
We have removed, as far as I know right now, all the windfalls that we normally get for the winter season. And so all trails are open. We're working with municipal operations, who obviously does all the work in terms of maintenance, but the trail checks and the park checks are really done. We're going to do those monthly, and we'll send in any work orders. When we're out there for any programming or assessing for a virtual, what have you, we'll also do a check at that time as well. So most of them are looking okay. They're from a safety point of view, and we're just going to fine tune the other types of things as we go forward.
So what you're saying is that every few weeks or every month that
every month. Yeah.
So because I've already and the team that went in did a fantastic job, but again, I'm at that situation where I'm receiving calls that the park down there is filled with stuff in the walking trail, which is, you know, the parents and the children that are walking there. And also there was one more concern that was brought to my attention, and I don't know who gets to fix that. And I spoke with Mr. McGinnis with this about there's a tree that's fallen and across the river, and or to try to use their canoe or their kayak, they would kind of stop. But I don't know, that's just one too many on the river going up the line or down the line, either way. And who's in charge of taking care of such things?
Stephen McGinnis has been dealing with that one, and it is a tree that has fallen into the river, but we're not responsible for what goes into the river. But Stephen, can you relate that? I know that's a Department of Natural Resources responsibility. I'm quite sure that he called them last week.
Actually, I haven't had a chance to call them yet, but I will in terms of what our obligation is or what anybody's obligation is. And just in terms of the general park maintenance, as we're all aware, we can't be everywhere all the time. And we do have our own staff check as well as the recreation staff. If anybody receives a complaint, just call it into us. We issue a work order. Our work teams are fairly flexible to address an issue based on its urgency. So if any of the councillors or any of the public, please tell them, just give us a call and we'll issue a work order and get it cleaned up. So I've yet to contact DNR, but I will be this week.
So if I can add to that, thank you, Mr. McGinnis. If you contact the Department of Natural Resources, are they going to go through the whole Annapolis River and take everything away at the same time, or do we have to be specific and talk about one thing at a time? I wonder.
I'm just guessing. I think we would have to be specific. I mean, the Annapolis River is an active water course, as we all know, and we all see trees down within the river course at any given point in time of the year. I'll just have to see what their position is.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hey, Councillor Sheridan.
So getting back to Raven Haven in regards to the porta potties, I realize that nobody can use porta potties right now, but if the restrictions are lifted and are able to, but if you can't, is Raven Haven still going to be open without the porta potties? I guess is my question.
Deborah?
Well, we're going to order the porta potties on site, and as long as we post our social, our hygiene, and expectations. We expect people to follow that. And you can't really open Ravenhaven without some washroom facilities. Won't be pretty.
No, and that's what I was concerned with, because from my understanding, porta potties aren't allowed to be used in certain areas because of somebody would have to be there to clean them constantly in order to be within the guidelines of the province. So I guess that I do have concerns with that. So I was just wondering how that was working itself out. Thank you.
Okay. Further questions?
We'll check on that.
Thank you.
Councillor LeBlanc?
So I was going to say, can Deborah bring us back that information? And are we going to have one person there all day? Usually we do. It would be the same thing, correct?
At this point in time, we're not having any staff on site, and we have tentatively ordered them with inside wash stations. So we will check on the health requirements, but my understanding is as long as you post it and encourage people to do proper hygiene, then in actual fact, then that can work in a park.
Thank you.
If I'm wrong on that, then I'll stand corrected, but I will do a double check today.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
All right. If there's no further questions, all in favor of the motion of the motion to receive the report indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you. We'll go on now to protective services, which is on page 48. We have a motion to receive that report, moved by Councillor LeBlanc and seconded by the Deputy Warden. Questions or comments about this report? Councillor LeBlanc.
So I see at number 3 that our facility is going to be open in June 1st. Is it?
Was it?
We've had the workplace inspection done. There's a few items that we are just finishing up, but if we had to pick up an animal, we could put it in that facility.
Nice.
Councillor Fowler? Councillor Fowler?
Yeah, volunteer medals for Port Lawrence Fire Department. Are they going to be presented or request that the Port Lawrence Fire present without ceremony for this year? Or they're going to have to wait till 2021? I was just wondering if they're going to be presented now or not.
I did send an email to the warden. That's how that would work. There is a specific member who could be retiring later this year, so they didn't want to have that presentation. If the others, they weren't planning on having their annual meeting until next year, so I don't see why we wait until next year, but I pass that on to the warden.
Further questions? All in favor of receiving the report signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you. Next, we have the municipal services report. Motion to receive that report, please. Moved by the Deputy Warden, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. Any questions on this report or comments? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Excuse me.
Oh, sorry. No, Councillor Gunn, go right ahead.
Thank you. I just make sure I'm, oh, damn it. Right with you.
No worries.
Wanted to
So
make sure, oh, I am unmuted.
Yeah.
When's spring cleanup? When's spring cleanup going to be? The good garbage week?
John?
We haven't scheduled a date as of yet. No municipal garbage collection in the region has rescheduled their spring cleanup as far as we know. It's something that we can certainly talk about and determine when we can do that. But there's been no date set at this time.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Councillor Morrison?
Thank you. Previously, we circulated notion that we circulated information that there would be no spring cleanup.
I don't remember that.
No.
Okay.
What we said was that it was postponed, I believe.
Oh.
Until the autumn, yeah.
Possibly.
All right.
That won't work. You'll have a lot of trash on the side of the roads.
That's true. Further question, Deputy Warden.
My question is, do we intend to still have a spring cleanup? Because I've asking me, and I know it was postponed, but are we still going to have one sometime this summer?
Well, it ultimately will be a decision for council that we'll have to bring back. Part of the rationale, I think, at the time was just the behavior of many people during spring cleanup is that they see stuff on the side of the road and then they go collect it. And might be someone's just what they want to dispose of, maybe something that somebody else wants. So people go and during COVID-19, I think they just decided that they wouldn't do that. There's been no decision. I think we should contact the province and get some ideas if they think that's okay. I think there was some discussion about yard sales recently, and I'm not sure what the outcome was of that, but it's similar. So if we can operate this and it's safe, then we'll come back with a recommendation, but I'm just not sure how this will be handled.
Yeah, because I know they're doing that. People are putting stuff out and other people are taking it now without spring cleanup in effect. And they've expanded the yard sale sites. I guess they would be on Facebook that you can put it on your porch, like different things like that. And it's just, I've had a few residents email me asking if there was still going to be a cleanup. So if you could get information and bring it back to us, I'd greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, ultimately it'll be a decision of council to have it, and we'll discuss it with the FR and get back to you.
Thank you.
Further, Councillor McDonald?
Bottom of page 51.
Okay.
Force main hangers, working with Nova Scotia Power to coordinate. I don't know what that is.
What's a force main hanger? Steve, you're muted, Steve. There we go.
It hangs the force main. No, I'm kidding. It's for running our force main pipe, which pumps our sewer from Granville Ferry over to Annapolis Royal, and we physically hang the pipe off the bridge that comes across the TIR and NSPI infrastructure on the causeway. And those hangers have to be replaced. So we're in the process of getting quotes to manufacture the stainless steel hangers and then to undertake the installation. And we're all very sensitive about the installation location there, its history. So we're moving cautiously.
Thank you very much, Mr. McGinnis. That cleared up my question. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Gunn?
Thank you. Will we be putting a new cover on those pipes as well, and insulation, or just the hangers themselves where they go across there?
Just the hangers at this point.
Just the hangers, yes. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Any further questions about this report?
Yeah, I do.
Go ahead, Bert.
Just a question here, I guess, on the transfer site. Any movement on extra trailers for up there?
Steve, can you?
The EFR, the hauler, is looking at refitting an older trailer that they have access to. I apologize, don't have what their current answer is on that. But I'll find that out and get that information to council next week.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Bert. All right.
Thank you.
All in favor of the motion to receive the report, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you. And next, the CAO's monthly report.
Move to approve. Second.
Moved by Councillor Fowler, seconded by the Deputy Warden. Any questions this report? All in favor of, oh, Councillor McDonald?
Thanks for noticing. Key result areas, forestry potential funding initiative. I know what it is. It's still ongoing. It's still positive, Mr. Ferguson.
The potential biomass project is still in the queue, and we are receiving communication. Nothing final as of yet, but we are receiving communication on it. So it's alive and well, but not approved at the provincial level. We do have approval in principle from the federal government, and we we have to consider upping our portion from 300,000 to 500,000. But it all depends on whether or not the province comes through with their contribution.
Yeah, okay. And then 2 lines down from that, operational and management agreement of internet services completed. That's, thank you very much. That I believe is with Seaside, is that correct?
That's correct.
And maybe later on today we can talk about that or something, or what do you think? In camera,
Yeah.
I'm not sure where we can talk about it.
Yeah,
No, we're free to talk about it.
Are we?
we should be.
So where, any timeline for them to have a customer service line to take some of the burden off of your 11 counselors that they get pummeled daily? And any timeline for Seaside to be up and running? And
Okay, so I'll see if I can get a date of when they anticipate the first connections on the home. What they're doing right now is, now that they've matched up the build with the operator, is that they're purchasing the equipment that'll have to be installed as it relates to customers, and also the devices in the that deal with the dark fiber. So those 2 systems have to match. So they're purchasing those systems, and then they'll be free to begin the capital construction, which would be connecting citizens at their homes and businesses at their homes. I can't give the starting point location. I do know where certain pops are. We hope to give that information out. We're also looking for Seaside to really, they will become the focal point from the citizens calling and making requests for the internet. And we'll be working on that as well. I can't give you a specific start date. We do meet every Wednesday. I'll see what I can get tomorrow and update you at council.
very good. That all sounds very, very positive. Thank you very much.
All right. Further questions in the report? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to receive the report signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Thanks very much. All right, the last item on our agenda is our in-camera session under the MGA Section 22(2)E contract negotiations. Could I request a motion to go in camera under that? And when we've done so, we'll all have to log out of this, of course, and call in on our telephones to the conference call. Moved by Councillor Fowler and seconded by
McNeil.
Councillor McNeil. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Thanks very much, folks. I'll see you online on the phone in a moment. All right, I'd like to welcome you all back to the open portion of our committee of the whole meeting. I'd like to request a motion to amend the order of the day to include an item of on a COA funding.
Moved.
Someone like to make that motion?
I'll make the motion.
Moved by Councillor LeBlanc, seconded by Councillor Gunn. Discussion on the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion's carried. Thank you. And now on the motion itself, do you have a suggested wording for us, Carolyn?
Yes, to recommend that municipal council authorize the warden and clerk to sign the ACOA contribution agreement for project number 214267.
Would you like to make that motion, Councillor Gunn?
Yes, I would make that motion.
Moved by Councillor Gunn, seconded by Councillor Fowler. Discussion on the motion. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you very much, folks. That is our final. Oh no, actually, I wonder if someone would mind making a motion to excuse Councillor Hemming's absence due to illness.
McDonald.
Oh, moved by Councillor McDonald, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you very much. And thank you everybody. It was good work this morning, and I declare the meeting adjourned. Have a great day.